Welcome to this week's episode of Coffee with the Journalist, brought to you by One Pitch. The guests on our show include some of the most notable journalists from the top US-based publications who cover topics including technology, lifestyle and culture, health, science, consumer products, and business news. We discuss their role, the types of stories they cover, what their inbox looks like, and how they connect with sources. Today on Coffee with the Journalist, we're joined by Shannen Balogh, a reporter at Insider. Shannen covers payments and fintech on the finance team at Insider. She's interested in the future of how we pay and get paid, the role that startups and incumbents play in payments innovation. She started at Insider as an editorial fellow in September of 2019 before becoming a junior reporter in March of 2020. On the episode today, Shannen shares more about using labels in her inbox, where she gets inspiration for her stories, the percentage of relevant pitches she receives, and more. Let's listen to Shannen's episode now.
Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee with a Journalist, as you heard. And today, some New York talk, finance, drinking way too much coffee, but not anymore. Shannen Balogh is here with us. She's a finance reporter over at Insider, formerly known as Business Insider, but the domain is still businessinsider.com, by the way. And as you guys just all heard, she covers quite a bit from point of sale financing, cryptocurrencies, on-demand pay, even QR codes, which we still use today, especially in this post-COVID time with menus and stuff. I keep seeing those pop up. Shannen, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes. So you were saying, Shannen, you're not drinking coffee now. We're both in New York. It's a little bit late in the day, but you used to have rather a consumption issue?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Like we were saying before, I think I was drinking like 60 ounces a day. And I just no one told me that could be bad for like your physical and mental health. And started feeling really anxious. And I'm like, why on earth am I feeling that? And I cut the coffee and things got a lot better. So I'm a big water person.
Was there a pressure at like Goldman Sachs, because that's where you were before you got into the journalism stuff more, that was like a culture of it? Was that part of it?
It was definitely, yes, like to stay awake. I think it's kind of hard sitting on a computer for those many hours, but there was also like, it was always nice an excuse to get up from the computer. So it was pretty routine. Like first thing before I came in, every day with lunch, and then at 3:00 when you start to get that like a slump.
Oh, wow. You were definitely on like a drip. Okay. First thing in, lunchtime, 3:00 lull. Oh, wow. Yeah.
To be fair, I was atypical. No one else on my team was drinking as much coffee. It was a personality.
You were leading the
trait,
pack. Wow. Yeah, that's hardcore consumption there. Well, let's talk about your inbox. We usually start off with that. How is your inbox? How do you keep it straight?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm very type A. I keep a very clean inbox. Only thing that sits in my inbox are things I have to do. So I basically go through everything.
Does that mean open every single email?
For the most part, unless the subject line is like clearly ridiculous or it's a newsletter that I didn't read in the morning and is no longer relevant.
Yep. And you missed it. Yep.
But yeah, I skim everything. I label everything. So I have like 200 labels.
Wait, stop. This is absurd. I've never heard that before. 200. How do you keep track? This is this is unprecedented from a journalist.
I can't not. So I have a label for every company I cover for a couple of themes, and it just means that like later it's all in the right place. I can find the emails. I find Gmail search like actually not that great, funnily. So the labels are very, very helpful. Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm not very discerning with it. If I get a pitch from a new company that I think would be worthwhile later, I create a new label.
Wow. So wait a second. Do you have a little color code system chart thing to keep these labels known?
I wish I could do colors.
Oh, because you know how you can change it. Well, at least it depends if you're on Gmail or whatever, but you could like pick your little colors and code it and all that crap.
Yeah, that would probably make me happy, but maybe not efficient enough.
Okay. Yes, probably not. Wow. Okay. So how many of those would you say in your daily emails that you get, what percentage would be pitches?
Like 60% around there,
wow,
maybe
that's a
more.
lot. Yeah.
That's mostly what it is. It's newsletters and pitches for the most part.
Got it. And with your fabulous system, are you responding to a fraction of those pitches? Are you mostly filing, coding? How would you get a response?
I'll file everything. I used to respond to everyone when I was young and naive, I guess. And it just I just can't. But I'll respond if it's someone I know. If it's a company that, I cover a lot, I'll usually get back to that person. If it's not someone I know, or it's like totally out of the blue and it's not going to come into coverage, I probably won't respond. Yeah.
How critical would you say subject lines are then?
Pretty big, to be honest.
Yeah.
For me, at least. And then, I really don't like long pitches. I like when people bold the important stuff. All of that is helpful to me. But subject line is pretty big.
Yeah, it's helping you get the open. Okay. Wow. Truly, Shannen, you win the award. If we had awards here, you would win the award for most organized. Ooh, does this also mean like you have 0 unread? Like you get to 0?
Oh my God. Yeah, I have to. I can't.
Wow. Also rare. You should maybe lead a workshop to fellow journalists on like how to organize your inbox, everybody. I've truly spoken to people who are like, I have like 40,000 emails unread. I'm like, I don't know what to say to you. I don't know how you function.
My personal email, whole nother story. That's like tens of thousands of emails that I will never open or look at. But for work, no way. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, that kills me. Okay. Shannen, when you are thinking of a story to do, so for example, I'm looking at one you did on pitch decks for fintechs. Now I know Insider likes to do the pitch decks and what it looks like and all that stuff, but you did 7, for example, or you were looking at this banking piece that's about banks earning billions of dollars in charging overdraft fees, so this is like quite the burden for people who even shouldn't be paying the overdraft fees. How do you assess and come up with the story you want to do?
So a lot of it comes just brainstorming with my editor and I. It's because I write like 3 or 4 times a week. So we plan things out on a monthly basis. So I'd say like 70% of it is just my ideas, kind of seeing what's out there in the world and what I want to contribute to. And then the other part comes from pitches. So like big news in the industry, if I get 8 pitches on one particular theme in a week, that's usually a nod to maybe do something about that theme,
Got it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot of collaboration with editors at the end of the day.
And how often are you said once a week you're meeting with them?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, we talk all the time.
Yeah, you talk all the time, yeah.
It's basically, once a week we kind of set pace and the tone, and I think that might be like a little unique for us because I write principally behind the paywall, so I'm not writing multiple times a day. If I were, maybe it would be like a daily meeting, but yeah.
And do you have some way, I know people do, so I like to ask them, a routine perhaps, like, okay, let me do a stroll through Brooklyn and with my coffee, my, one coffee or whatever, that helps inspire stories for you?
Yeah, I would say a lot of it funnily comes from like ads I see on the subway.
Really?
And things like that. There's so much, fintech has grown so much in the last year.
Absolutely.
That a lot of my ideas are like, hey, I saw this weird thing advertised on my commute. Like, what is that? And it does come from there. And then otherwise, actually, I find Twitter to be a great resource. So in the morning, I scroll Twitter. That's always very inspiring, just seeing what people in the industry are talking about. Yeah.
God, I would never think, but that's a perfect New York thing of what's in the subway. Okay, readers tell me. And then I go, oh, okay, something to investigate.
Legitimate, it's happened so many times.
Really? What's the last one who mentioned, or last brand someone mentioned?
So Google Pay is advertising a lot right now.
Really? Huh.
And in their cars, on the other side of the subway car, there's always an ad for Current, which I think is a digital bank. I didn't actually write about them, but I think I flagged them to our consumer banking reporter because I was seeing them every single day, like with Google Pay doing the whole thing. But even coverage of buy now, pay later, like looking at Klarna ads out in New York is what inspired that a while ago.
I saw an ad for Current in Soho here, and they were like, banks are chewy or whatever the Gen Z word for out of date is. And I'm like, ooh, I don't think you should be using that. Okay.
No, right. Okay, bank.
Approach. Yeah. Okay. Well, Shannen, we have an audience ask. This is coming from Rachel, let's say, Gastuvo. She's a credited PR person, and she's from her own firm, it looks like, the Gastuvo Coalition. And her question is, a very direct one here, do journalists need/care for press kits anymore?
I love them.
Really?
If you put your founder headshot on your website, it would save me so much time.
Yeah. Yes.
And, logos, if we're going to do a graphic, like companies that have their logos out there is great. And even if there were like a fact sheet, like if you're private, if you're a startup, total raise, investors, founders, CEO, like all of that on a PDF, would love that.
Do you rarely get them?
Yeah, I rarely get them. I get a lot of press releases, but it's mostly, I need a lot of headshots for our stories. I'm always emailing for them. It's always a back and forth.
So if you just got those up front, here's a link to our Google Drive with everything. Much easier.
It would be super helpful.
Nice. Okay. Good to know. Hope that answers your question, Rachel. I like that nice direct question. Well, Shannen, I have a fill in the blank section here. So I'm going to tee up the phrase and then you could fill it in with whatever you think. First one is my favorite sources always.
Bring me new information.
New information succinctly though, right? Because you said you like to short pitch. How short, by the way? Oh, actually, here's a question. How short of a pitch did you receive that actually converted to a story?
Honestly, if it's someone I know, one sentence. Hey, Shannen, have a story. Are you cool with taking a look at this? We'll usually get a response from me. And if it's cold, like 1 or 2 paragraphs. Like, tell me who your client is and tell me what's happening. Done.
There you go. The most annoying sources always.
Send me irrelevant things.
Does that happen? Do you, of the percentage of your pitches that you get, would you say 90%?
It doesn't that much.
No, really? Okay. People are not
I'm pretty
spamming.
lucky. I think part of that's the paywall, actually. I think that protects me a little.
Oh, I would have, yes. Because they go, oh, no one wants that. Our client doesn't want that.
Right. Or like my name isn't out there as much. But you know what I do notice? Like, well, I'll work if I write a story in front of the paywall or like work a weekend shift and just do straight news, the next week I'm flooded with irrelevant pitches for DTC like shower products.
Oh no.
I would say like 90% of the pitches I get are relevant to my beat, which I really appreciate.
That's fantastic. Good job, PR people. All right. You'll get a response from me if
you address it to me and write succinctly and share something that's like absolutely relevant that isn't already out there.
Do you like exclusives, by the way?
Yeah, I think that can be really helpful. We, especially with like any kind of announcement, an exclusive is usually something that we'll ask for. Part of that is because like at the end of the day, if a bunch of other papers are going to have the same story out, it doesn't make much sense for us to have it, especially behind the paywall. So, yeah.
Today's interview will continue after this brief message brought to you by OnePitch. Are you curious to see the unique ways OnePitch helps PR professionals and marketers pitch journalists? Head to onepitch.co to learn about our new OnePitch score and see how easy it is to find the right journalist to pitch your news to. Sign up for your free account today. Now, back to today's episode.
You'll never get a response from me if
you don't address the email to me. So like if you don't say, hi, Shannen, which I think is a pretty easy thing to do. Then maybe that's picky. But
that is so easy. But do they misspell your name? Do they just, you could tell like there's just mass blasting happening at all?
Yeah, it's when you can tell it's like mass blasting. I don't mind if people misspell my name or anything. Though I've gotten someone who like sent me something, misspelled the name. It was kind of irrelevant. I didn't respond. And in the follow-up, they'll be like, just following up to apologize for misspelling your name. Like, also, are you interested?
Oh, okay.
I think
at least
like
they caught that. That's good. Okay.
I'm not saying anyone should do that on purpose, but maybe that's a tactic.
Maybe, yeah. You can, speaking of, you can follow up with me if
you haven't heard from me in 2 days and you're really certain that it's relevant to my beat.
Certain, underscore. Got it. Okay. The best compliment I received about my work was?
Whenever someone tells me that's spot on or like you nailed that, I really like to hear that.
Oh, that's nice. My favorite stories to write about are?
Usually ones that surprise me. Also ones about people. Like if I can figure out who's leading X, Y, and Z project and really, learn about that person or team, that makes me more excited.
One thing I think people should know more about me is?
I'm a very technical person. So I actually really appreciate when founders and sources like go into the nitty gritty. And I think a lot of times people coach folks to not get like into the details. And funnily, I actually really appreciate it. Like, it'll never make it into the story, but it's really helpful for me to have that understanding. So,
yeah, that's a rare answer. You usually do not hear that. Good to know. From an analyst, a former analyst, of course. One piece of advice for aspiring journalists is?
I don't want to say like work hard. Be bold. You have to be so bold. And it's hard if you're an introverted person. Like, I'm semi-introverted and I found it very challenging, but you just got to be out there.
And by out there, you mean prolific with your story writings and publishing, or out there like, okay, you got to be in this event, this bar, this thing, this all,
More like with sources, like you're going to annoy people, or you might feel like you're being annoying, but it's your job. Like, just do it.
Yeah, get it.
Call everyone, ping everyone, because that's how you get good stories.
The last best thing I ate or cooked was?
Over the weekend, I went out to a place called Kings County Imperial in Brooklyn that I love. It's like some of my favorite, like, Americanized Chinese food. That was delicious.
Oh, that sounds fabulous. Where was that? I'm in New York this week.
Oh, so they have one in the Lower East Side, and then they have one in Williamsburg. It's phenomenal. It's like absolutely top 10 my favorite restaurants in the city.
And what's the name again?
Kings County Imperial.
Kings County Imperial. Okay. That's why I love doing these, because I get all the advice of all the things. Okay. Quarantine has taught me
patience.
My perfect Sunday is
a very long walk and dinner out.
Simple. Shannen, so simple. I love it. It's easy to please you. Lots of analytics and long walks. There you go.
Yep. I'll take the call walking, and you can walk me through.
Yeah. I love walking calls. I do a lot of those. Okay, Shannen, what are you reading, consuming, watching, podcasting, whatever? We will hear it all, because this is where we get all of our best recommendations for stories.
Yeah. Watching. I mostly watch things. I think HBO is like my most used app. So all of their original series I generally love. So I've been watching a lot of those. In terms of reading, I've actually decided in the last few months, I'm trying to get back into fiction, which I haven't been since I was like forced to in high school.
Yes, I hear you. By the way, with the HBO thing, there's a new show, and I was like, I wonder if you've seen it. Here it is. The White Lotus. Did you watch that yet?
Oh, no.
Oh, it was all written up in the New York Times and stuff. It's about, it says, The White Lotus follows the staff and privileged guest at a luxury resort.
Huh. That's cool.
Like, interesting. Anyway, I saw it in the New York Times this weekend.
I'll check it out.
Okay, there you go. Okay, you were saying.
Yeah, I'm trying really hard to get back into fiction. So I just finished a Sally Rooney book that I loved, and we will see where I go from there.
What was the title of that?
It's called Conversations with Friends. It's really good.
Yes. Wait, I think I just read that too.
It was really sweet.
Yes. No, but if you like it, I will get it too. Perfect.
Yeah, I recommend.
Okay, adding to wish list. Perfect. Anything else?
I used to be big into podcasts, and then I stopped commuting. And so now sometimes I put them on when we're making dinner. I love The Daily. I love This American Life.
This American
Life. I love the journals. The Wall Street Journal's podcast is great.
They do a good job. This American Life, freaking fantastic.
I know.
True. They keep hitting the top 10 and all that good stuff. So yeah, great job over there. Okay, Shannen, we touched on it a little bit earlier in the kind of fill in the blank about your advice for journalists, future journalists. Mm-hmm. What do you think overall, though, is the future of journalism?
Far be it from me.
Yes.
But I don't know. I think I'm a big fan of paywalls. I think subscriptions are going to continue rising. I think what's happening with Substack is very interesting, though at the end of the day, I don't think you can replace the trust that a full organization can give. So I don't think news organizations are going away. I do wonder, and I don't know if this is good or bad for media, micropayments and solving the too many subscriptions problem.
Yes.
I wonder if that's where we're going.
Because how are you going to pay $560 a month?
Exactly.
Right?
So that, I don't know if, that might not be great for news, but it's definitely something consumers want. I hear that a lot from even my friends, that they wish that they could pay 2 cents to read the article and move on.
Right. Yeah. Because you would do it then a la carte, because frankly, you're going to be really into some kind of outlet specifically and be using it on at least a regular basis of some sort to warrant the $17 or even $7 a month type of thing. Otherwise, you're like, eh.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even like personally, I think I have 3 or 4 subscriptions and I don't visit those all daily.
Exactly. And you're a journalist.
Yeah, it's like
Imagine
my
the
job.
regular people, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll
Wow.
see.
Okay. Would you, going back in time, tell yourself to get into media?
Absolutely. I wish I had done it sooner, frankly. Like I loved my time at Goldman. It was a great couple of years and I learned so much, but
I was going to say, you have a journalism and political science degree, but then you started in the finance stuff.
yeah, it was one of those things where you intern and then they offer you a job going into your senior year of college and right? Like
Like, yes, pay me.
no job. Thank you. Like I just kind of felt like I had to and then I was in and it was great, but then I don't know, I just got to a point where it felt like I had hit a fork and it was time to make the choice because I had always talked about going into journalism eventually.
But I love your pivot. Look at that. You're like, well, yeah, now I've done the finance analyst thing at one of the big ones, big shops, and now I write about fintech.
Yeah. That's basically pretending like I'm trying to be Matt Levine.
Yes, perfect.
So
I like it. I think that gives hope for people who are like, oh, I've been in a supply chain startup forever or whatever. It's like, hey, won't pivot. You could pivot that knowledge into reporting on it, perhaps.
Absolutely. And I would recommend it to anyone, even just to like try it out. It's cool. And Insider, we have so many folks on my team who have came from various industries into news. Insider is a place that will give someone a chance to make that switch if they want to. So I would recommend trying.
That's cool. Good to know. And you guys have been hiring a lot, by the way. God, every other day it's like, oh, new report. Cheers to you guys.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's fantastic.
Half our finance team was hired remotely, and we all had like our first in-person happy hour a couple months ago, and it was just weird. Like we know each other, but I still felt like I had to introduce myself.
Okay, Shannen, I had a similar experience going to DC with my PhD cohort, and you've seen these people in their little tiny box for a year, right? I'm glad you validated that because I was talking to other students of like, is this also, this was a couple days later, but I was like, wasn't it weird seeing people for like the first hour? You're like, oh, I didn't know you were that big and tall and
it's just bizarre.
It throws you off.
But I love it. It's
me too. I'd rather have it. It's just now I know I could be thrown for the loop because it's just weird. Yeah. Okay. Well, Shannen, we have come to our Mad Libs part, which is so fun. Sometimes they're quite accurate and sometimes it's just plain silly, but it doesn't matter. We're going to have a good time. First, what is an emotion?
Joy.
An adjective?
Green.
Another adjective?
Squishy.
That's a new one. A greeting of any kind?
Howdy.
A verb?
Jump.
A noun?
Hot sauce.
Good one.
Staring around my kitchen right now.
Good one. An adjective?
Cheery.
A cringeworthy PR term or phrase, such as just following up.
Leading or like one and only or only company doing X, Y, and Z when that's not true.
One and only companies, yes. And then part of a pitch.
The subject line.
Okay, an amount of time.
2 days.
2 days. Okay, like it. Name of a real person, preferably alive.
Anthony Fauci.
Hell yeah. Okay, and then an emotion.
Surprise.
Perfect. Okay, here we go, Shannen. Let's see what we got. When I think of the future of journalism, I feel joy. The pitches I receive have gone from green to squishy. If I receive a pitch that starts with howdy, I jump. When I write stories on hot sauce, I get cheery. My favorite pitches include the one and only anything kind of startups companies and very specific subject lines. I normally take around 2 days to respond to my emails, but if it's Anthony Fauci, I will respond immediately. If you do get a response back from me, you should know I am very surprised for you. Kind of on point.
Kind of, yeah. I would
like it.
Fauci.
There you go. Oh, I love it. Shannen, thank you so much for hopping on here today. We loved our chat. I love you took that finance job and you got into media. Look at that. Everyone else who's listening, if you want to do the same, look at Shannen. There you go.
Yeah, feel free to reach out. My Twitter DMs are open.
Shannen, that is the most gracious thing anyone on the show has ever said, by the way. No one has ever, and I've done all these episodes, said, feel free to reach out. So hallelujah, everybody. You just heard from Shannen herself. Shannen, thank you again. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Coffee with the Journalist featuring Shannen Balogh from Insider. If you enjoy listening to our show, make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. And if you have a moment, please leave us a review to share your thoughts about the show and today's guest. To learn more about the latest tools on OnePitch and to subscribe to our weekly podcast newsletter, head to our website at onepitch.co. We'll see you all next week with a brand new guest and even more insights about the journalists you want to learn more about. Until then, start great stories.